a combination of knowledge and of inspiration and of passion of definitely Sean Moxer, my husband, and myself. I never take that. I always think he was also my coach when I was playing. So lots of this comes back to a team effort and a team effort at M Squash as well. Today we chose to talk not specifically about how to hold the grip, how to play a drive, when to play a cross court. We get children at our academy. We have 2 academies in New York and Connecticut. We have about 250 kids training with us on a weekly basis. Our job is not just to build champion people, but to build futures. And it's the best job in the world. And so how we do that job is what I'd love to talk to you about today. So I'll talk about kind of 5 concepts. And as David and William said, if there's any question at any moment in time, just drop it in the chat. If there is something that is going completely wrong, I'm all about criticism. I'm all about feedback. So William will manage, but at the end of the session, we'll definitely also have time for questions. We like the structure. To get somewhere, people need plans. And so today I'm going to talk to you about a philosophy that is important to build the structure, a methodology, concepts that we teach the littlest children, all the way until obviously 19 years old and beyond that. The independent athletes, we want athletes to become independent. They do not need to depend on us as coaches. And then how do you build that environment? If you take things pretty seriously, how do you build that environment? When people ask us what do we do at M Squash and how do we approach our job, I have 3 words, and we try to professionalize junior squash development. So we try to take things to a probably very professional and intense level. However, we're working with children. So we're going to try to create the place and the mindset kind of to work that intensely and to think about their longevity and their success. So let's talk about the philosophy first. Champion people, because I'm not talking about champions. When David asked me, do you want to do that talk, I'm super happy. I've never considered myself as a true champion. I was a very hard worker. I was academically strong, and I was able to kind of use those 2 building blocks. So for us, champion people are not merely champions, and not everybody can be a champion, but everybody can find the passion to discover their potential wholeheartedly. Everybody can learn to become extremely resilient and not give up. Everybody, for us, champion people, and we try to work on that every day, have 3 huge important values. And that is, they put respect, humility, and gratitude first. And with those 3 values, I think we can win a lot of matches, but we can also win things in life. Champion people are also people who learn, we need to teach them to learn to lose and to look at the long-term perspective. So we need to teach them that being a champion is getting back up immediately after a match as soon as we can, and to be bigger than that one result, and still to believe in themselves, not judge, and all of that. Oftentimes, Sean and I and our team, we get the biggest pleasure, yes, out of obviously winning big championships, but also about we moved about 11 years ago to the States. It was 2014, almost 12 years now. Sean was then, he's from Australia. He's been working in Belgium. He worked for 11 years with David Palmer, as you probably will all know. But the US was the destination for us to build our dream, to do exactly what I said we wanted to do, is professionalize junior squash development. And so when I talk about the US and I look at the opportunities, I don't want to say that this is not happening only in the US, because I see a huge movement happening now with the Olympics everywhere. But what we felt specifically in the US is that squash becomes that reason you walk in the door, not just because you want to maybe try squash, because squash is going to take you somewhere. It's going to help you discover yourself. It's going to help you get recruited in a top college. It's going to help you build a strong future. Build a network that will help you perhaps with jobs later on in life, and become that very special person. And I hope, to be honest, that kind of vehicle, and I feel like that is becoming true, because I see more and more international people also come afterwards to the US to play here in college, that is becoming a worldwide movement. And as you see then, going from the red framework to the blue one, the college recruiting journey is for sure. You sometimes wonder why are things happening in the US? Well, that college recruiting journey is an important driver. And we have parents who come in and they want to invest in a hell of a lot of training for their children to get them, to help them build their lives up. But also we see players who all of a sudden become very, very serious and very disciplined, because they know that even at 6, 7, they have the view at 8, 9, 10 years old of where they want to be at 18. And that's pretty impressive. You have a college squash association is almost rivaling, and that's the thing who's making that college squash game really, really exciting, who's putting them up as rock stars and all of that, and that's exciting. And at the same time, they offer them the education security, and then obviously you have PSA who keeps on building dreams. I love how everything is evolving. So all of a sudden, squash becomes that powerful thing that is, for me, what squash was is I loved squash, and it was my parents wanted me to do it because it kept me out of trouble. And I think what squash can do has become so much different. And it requires us to do things differently as well. At least that's how we feel. And just to give you an idea of college squash, how that can be an opportunity for everyone, you see about every year, and these are some numbers, you've got about, in the women's game, about 90 women who get recruited every year to play at a diversity of colleges, about 125. You have in total 65 varsity teams currently and 73 club teams. But that means that every year there's about 1,400 players playing in college, and that is kind of that should be a huge drive. If we're wondering why is there not enough players playing in Belgium, in Germany, and whatever, let's give them that view, and let's say hey, look where squash can take you. And so a number just every year, about an average of 345 kids start playing in college, and that's a lot. That's a lot for squash. It could be more, because continuously here people want to build new teams at colleges, want to start building new courts, etc., etc. I mean, David probably can talk to the fact that there's, I think, a really good movement also in the UK where the college teams play each other, etc. So I think it's one of the, next to the US, one of the few countries in the world where that is happening, and I think we need much more of that, right? So just for us, just to see, we started our academy in 2018, and this is a track record of our recruited college athletes. We're proud of every one of them, and we're even more proud when after that whole journey, they walk back in the door and they give us hugs, because then we realize, yeah, we've done a good job. We got people to somewhere, we got them stronger, and yeah, we see them build lives. So how do we do that? Or what's the 3 building blocks behind what we try to do with every scholar athlete? We always say they have 2 jobs when they walk in. Their first job is school, and their second job is academics. So that's how we say, okay, we have lots of respect for their time and discipline, And it's up to us to support their academic career, maximize their squash journey, and build their personal profile. How do we do that as a support? We obviously, we're not a club where adult members will get priority over juniors. It's all about the juniors, sometimes to the unhappiness of the adults, but we'll provide them priority core time after school. We try to optimize all of these activities and build physiotherapy together with fitness, together with mindset, together with squash in the one place. So we're trying to be a one-stop shop. We're building like study areas where they in between sessions can rest and hopefully get their mind onto studying. We also partner with an online school for those who want, can even have that even more flexible model where they can professionalize even more. And then obviously Sean is the one between the two of us who really helps our kids with college recruiting. It's about telling them from a very early age onwards, probably when they're in 8th, 9th grades, and in England, and that would be 14, 15 years old. We start planning ahead and start getting really serious for when they're 18. So 4 years in advance, we kind of lay out where they're gonna go the next 4 years. When we build the personal profile, we're talking about how important sportsmanship is for them. It's like the way they behave on court is a reflection of who they are, is a reflection of how they will later on go in life. So we're talking about that. We're talking about how they deal with adversity when they're so down because they lost the match. I said it doesn't matter. You played, you competed. And when you go on the court, you have a 50% chance of winning and 50% of losing. He or she who dares to go on that court is ready to take that chance. And that is dealing with adversity and uncertainty, and that's a big one. Recovering from injury. We're talking about maturity, or we teach them to become mature people, ready to be independent. And obviously we talk about how the players need to work on themselves as a brand. They need to be, when you come into a college team, it's not just the coach who's going to say, oh yes, that would be a good part of the team. You go on a college visit and the team players need to like you. If you're that kind of person who could be the best person in the world, but you're not liked by the team, and you're not making friends and you're not gluing with them, probably have a bigger chance to be accepted by that team. So how you behave with your peers is extremely important. And so we try to tell them and teach them to be good people. Happy, healthy, humble, honest, hardworking, all of these things. And that just makes our job so fulfilling to go beyond that little squash ball. And then this is a little bit more of where the planning starts and where we teach them. And I won't go into this, but anyone who has specific questions, I'd be super happy, obviously, to talk to that. But you see from the age of 10 onwards, we start kind of putting milestones of where people are with their rankings. And because we tell them if you have a certain goal, we have to be realistic with keeping our milestone in check to reach a goal. So we call that long-term athlete planning. And depending on where their goal is, if you have a goal, fair enough, but then you have to match your training and your KPI and your KPI monitoring to that goal. And so that's how we, in a serious way, monitor the athletes. Important to say is often that these type of meetings we have with the parents, and that we don't necessarily have the kids be all in on these numbers. We want them to have that free mindset. But it's really important for the parents to understand we'll make choices, we'll make sacrifices. We will, as coaches, give recommendations, and please listen to us then, and let's stay on track with everything. And so what we kind of do, if you ask me, oh well, yes, I'm a coach, but we really build a support team around the athlete. And when you wonder, like, oh, is she really a coach? I am, because I'm probably still 30 hours a week on court, 6 days on 7 with them. So yes, I do everything, but on top of that, we also build this team. And so when people ask me what's the best part of your job, I think it would be that first one. It's kind of being the one person who has built a relationship with the player to open their eyes to see what their potential is. I think if there's one job that we have first and foremost, is kind of showing them a dream. From that dream, we take it professionally, and we kind of start moving towards, really developing the plan and the player. What is really important when we do so is our community. And because we take this serious, we try to develop, and we call it a community of like-minded athletes who love the athletic academic lifestyle. When 10-year-olds walk in the door and they come in for a session, but they all know why they're there for a session and they all are ready to work hard, it's okay. It's not that tough, because kind of we're putting them in an environment where they find so many similar thinking people that working really hard and being serious as 10 years old is okay to do. And I think that's marvelous. And that's what I probably am very proud of, that we've been able to realize. You'll at M Squash and in our club, you'll never be the only one who's serious about what you want to do. And the bigger your dream, the better. And so we've built that holistic team of coaching, studying, traveling with the players, the fitness, the sports PT, and the mindset. And so that is kind of that structure. Now, how do you understand a player? And I try to explain to the parents that your player is like a DJ mixing board. It's got so many buttons. I'm not a DJ, so I don't know what all the buttons for in the music, but for the players, I kind of know. And as a coach, we have the responsibility to understand all those little details as much as possible, to get to know as much as possible all the little details about your player. It's the extra information, the extra trust, and the extra communication that I feel will lead to your success. It's your listening to what you hear from the player, from the parents, what happened last week, what's happening at school, what's happening, or what you're not hearing, but what you're seeing, your nonverbal communication. It's your EQ, your emotional intelligence. It's understanding when to push really hard. And although we've got big goals, when to take it a notch down. It's understanding, asking questions about their sleep, their nutrition, their load, and all of that. And it's also being ready and having that good relationship with the parents to last minute say, hey, I think Johnny needs to take the week off this week. Or I think we need to change from a private lesson this week or today to a match play, because that's what, and it's then that trust from the parents to say, okay, Kathleen, if that's what you think it needs, let's do that. And that are the strongest relationships and success models that we can have. It's the layering. So obviously I can't do this all by myself, and you have to kind of build a really good team around you. We have a physical therapist with us who monitors their health on a weekly basis. If there's anything wrong, in 2-3 minutes, I can get an update on what's wrong with Johnny's ankle. Do we need to take it serious, or we take it, or we can keep on going? The mindset, if I feel like there was an issue in the past weekend or so with the mindset, then I ask our mindset coach to see whether we could set the session up. our success at M Squash is a team effort, and it's about all people passionate and engaged in that success of that player who will get the job done altogether. But as a coach, because you're the one, as a squash coach, and I say you're the one the closest to it, and you'll probably be the one coaching them at tournaments and so on, you have to be ready to kind of get all that information from all these different players, and you're the manager, I would say. In another way, it's about, like I said, reading the room and maintaining momentum. When we're at the tournaments, you have to really, it's not about just showing up 5 minutes before. It's not about, just seeing the match and like letting them digest it afterwards. It's really understanding the vibes that are going on. It's constantly adjusting and fine tuning with the reality that longevity is our ultimate goal. And that's an interesting one. Obviously, building long careers with players, we're going to have ups and downs, and everything is obviously fantastic if you have the ups, but it's in the moments where we have the downs with the players that they feel like they haven't been doing well over 2-3 tournaments, that the parents start worrying, that we need to have the trust and that we need to have the ability to question ourselves and to reinvent perhaps what we're doing and understand. And that takes analysis, that takes a willingness to understand, what you potentially could be doing wrong. And that I think one of my strengths as a person is I wake up every day and I want to do something better. I'm not scared of questioning myself. It's probably one of my weaknesses then when I was a player, that I probably maybe sometimes questioned myself too much. However, that has now become a strength in a way to analyze situations and manage that around it. So keep on reinventing. If you're working so long with a player, you keep on changing it up the whole time or whenever it is necessary. So that's a little bit theoretical, and apologies, but I think it's important to understand the process and the structure that goes beyond it. What I'd love to go about next is kind of, okay, how am I going to try to get a 12-year-old, a 14-year-old, or a 16-year-old to train as intense and to perform as intense as we'd like to perform then, or as we potentially can. And I'd like to use visual concepts to explain complex behavior that I would love to generate from them. One of them, I always say, is a mosquito, and we're talking about training now, because it's in training when we're going to start building habits to perform in the matches. I explain them how hard it is to catch a mosquito, and whenever you're trying to catch it, it's always faster than you. And so a mosquito has what they call compound eyes. They don't just have one eye, they have 1,000 different eyes, and so there's an incredible sensory awareness. There's also a 360-degree visual that animal has, and any child understands how hard it is to catch a mosquito. And so I tell them that with those compound eyes, we need an eye for every single aspect that we want to manage as we are training. We'll tell them about they need to think about their wrist. They need to be up. They need to think about the weight in their feet, the movement going forward, the right foot that needs to be there, the distance from the ball from the wall, the follow through, their positive mindset, all of that. And so we use that concept of mosquito eyes to do a few steps. We make them become aware of the 100 kind of aspects that maybe go into a drop shot. So we make them understand. We try, because that's kind of building up knowledge. It's not just playing a drop shot. It's about how your shoulders were, how your intensity was, what the strength was in your grip, how you did that follow through, how you came out of the shot. So that's building up understanding. We also, when that drop shot is not good, we teach them to say, okay, there's probably one of these 10 things that are part of a recipe of playing a good drop shot that was wrong. And it's not my day, or it's not just like, oh, I can't hit drop shots anymore. And so we teach them to analyze and solve those mistakes by understanding what are the parts, what are the ingredients for good. I like this approach because it filters, it's gonna, what we call the noise, all the negative things like, oh, I'm so bad. Like the reaction could also be, and you've all had it, play a drop shot in the team, I'm so bad. I mean, no, it was something physics that didn't go right. And so we try to work from that negative thinking to the positive thinking and the solution-oriented approach. Also to a more rational approach about how squash is and all the things we can control, right? So that's one of the concepts that I use. And then it comes to something that I totally love, and I'm big on that. And I was so lucky to work this summer with Amina Orfi. We invited her for a week of summer camp. I was extremely honored in how good our relation was from the get-go. And I saw immediately a number of, I understood immediately why she is the phenomenon of that she is. There's nobody I've ever met who is that good as active listening and active execution, and who does that on a daily basis, and who expects that from the people around her. What does that mean? There's something that is being said. Well, take that in completely and go from listening and understanding immediately into executing. And do not question it, do it, have no filter on it, believe it, trust it, and have a relentless discipline to repeatedly do it. And I believe that if we can have our kids adopt this kind of habit of listening to whatever you are saying and immediately executing, it will make them unstoppable. It's obviously not easy, and it will require 100%. The focus level of the child needs to be so high, and then the understanding needs to be also so high to achieve it. But it doesn't mean that because it's hard, you shouldn't try to get to that stage with your players. One of the things that was funny, and obviously I could ask you, how many times do you have to say in a lesson, rack it up, get back to the tee, be stronger in your body when you're hitting the ball. I mean, I have to say it 500 times to a player before they do it, and then the 501st time they still don't do it. It's normal. But what if, and Amina, she was doing camp, and so she said, okay, well, you have, one of the things that she says to the kids a lot is you gotta bend, because when you bend, you get that momentum and all of that. And so day one, she's going on the court, she's explaining it and all of that, and the kids are going like, it's a lot of information, but they're listening. Day two, day three, she's all of a sudden she becomes a bit angry, and I'm like, Amina, what's up? You're not saying as much anymore. And then she says, yeah, but Kathleen, I said it on Monday, I said it on Tuesday, and they're still not doing it. More intense in the US, based on my knowledge from 10 years ago in Europe, so I could be completely wrong. But in any case, I think it's a very important triangle. To teach players to have respect for their parents, for you to, as a coach, manage that role, because if everybody has the right intent for the player, that triangle can be is super important. So if a parent is not maybe behaving the way you want it, maybe help him or her too, and explain how we together will help the child and the junior thrive. And lastly, when we talk about attitudes, it's a quote we like: hard work beats talent. When talent isn't working hard, effort is everything for us. Effort, belief, willingness to listen is more important than that most talented player. But I guess that's nothing new. However, it's important to mention it now and then to your team of people. And so let's talk about then the self-evolving athletes and how we teach them to be their best own coach. Besides the mosquito eyes and all of that, we're going to talk about auto-correction. And so after anything that could go wrong, or after any kind of rally, we ask for a diagnostic reset period. We ask the player kind of, okay, there's something that didn't go well. Was it my movement? What happened to my movement? We also asked him to evaluate how close was the ball to the wall, what was the depth of the ball, and what did I do technically with my racket. And so there's kind of that audit that we try to run a few times, rather than me always saying what is they are maybe doing wrong. Have them answer that question, and in that way kind of build that independent performer. By them saying it and like verbalizing it, it will help them so much more to become an active thinker, which they are not always. And as they know they have to say it, they also know they need to be more aware as they're training, because they're going to be called and asked what is actually happening. They can't just be there. They have to be present. And so when we do matches, we do matching with the stop and solve method. It could be with the coach on the court with two players doing matches, and we let them play rallies. And after every rally, we could just have them stop, say, okay, what was the end? What triggered the end of the rally? What happened? Say out the correction out loud and go and apply it to that next point. And again, we want to go away from the emotion. We want to go away from the feeling to the problem solving. We want to definitely also go away from the winning or the losing, which is a thought that is linked to expectations and ambitions. And those two words are worth nothing if we can't just kind of go back to the kind of squash we want to play on the court, and not just go back to the kind of squash we want to play, but to play actually, and to make our body execute what our mind knows it should be doing. So that is that. And then there's something that Sean also likes to talk about, and I've learned from him. So we like to have them think about investment and charity rallies. Whenever any rally that is being played in matches, it could be an investment or a charity rally. An investment rally is a rally where you worked hard, you deserved the points, you did all the right things, you build up, you set the standard, you kind of did what you had to do. A charity rally is a rally that we've given away, that we probably wanted to end too quickly, and that was just, kind of a waste of time. And we tell them also, so think about those rallies that you played, and if you won with charity, be aware that that opponent, if you won because your opponent gave a charity point, don't expect that you're doing the right thing. Don't think you're doing the right thing. he'll probably or she'll probably make up for it and get better that next rally. So be aware of when you win also. It's not about just you, what you're doing, but what your opponent does. If you lost with charity because you made the point, you took that drop shot in too early, or you didn't finish your follow through, all of that, reset and go back to effort, go back to structure. If lost with investment, that's really good. You lose a rally and it's a long rally and you work hard, you know you are doing the right thing. And if you keep on doing that, somebody's going to have a breaking point and the momentum will eventually change. So losing with investment rallies is a great thing. And if you won with investment, well, it means that you just need to repeat what you were doing. Continue to invest and don't go from, because we just done a few investment rallies to charity rallies. Keep on investing, because that's what we believe will get you in the end that best result. And so, yeah, how do we, what tools do we use? And I had to make some choices there, but I mentioned like a high performance environment needs to balance that demand with the fun, with the joy, with the seriousness. And so as a coach, I continuously ask myself, okay, and when we came to the US, Sean and I were saying, okay, what do we want to do? We want to professionalize junior squash. How do we want to do it? We want to build centers where community is important, but we also want to see what technology is out there in other sports, in current sports, and we want to bring the technology there. Move along with children, and so make it a very tech-driven event. It comes all together, so that's your work. So you can buy or invest in, and there's things that you need to create yourself. And so it's not just showing up and hitting another set of balls. Like, there's lots of effort that should go in there. As for us, we've invested in interactive squash. We think it's a great tool. I'll show you what we do with some Bosu balls. I'll show you, we obviously use a lot of ball machines, the call ball drills. We have a movement studio that teaches players about movement, but also swing analysis. What I did is make a very quick video around that. It's definitely not an Award Academy video, but it will give you a little bit of insight. It's 1 minute and 30 seconds. But this is what we do beyond, obviously, all the drills, all the condition games, all the things that you probably already know as distinguished coaches. So here we go. Well, obviously here we're showing just of the ball machine. We're trying to create the variation in speed. We're using different balls. I like the Bosu balls. I put players on there just to understand how it's hard to balance yourself and still really hit good shots. It increases the awareness. We use call balls where we're just hitting the ball anywhere. The ball dies much faster, it dies much quicker. We've got to be quicker on that ball. Again, just the players like these things as well. Beyond that, we have the video analysis setting. We can go from the exercise immediately to court side. And then here we have our movement studio where we teach in a very visual way what their movement is and where they can do better. There is now science that talks to them about how they're moving. There's playful things for little kids as well. I showed those because we need to entertain the little ones. It's got a force plate and all of that, and we really learn to use the body and understand the importance of controlling the body. And we try to back that up, obviously, with numbers. And again, I can go in that. There's lots of videos on our YouTube channel that will talk about these things as well. part of it, also building that independent athlete, is bringing the best of the best to our athletes. We invest every summer, and we'd love to have David next year to our summer 2026. We invest every year in bringing the best in squash to our 3 months of summer in the US, and we don't have the message. They need to get so many messages, and it's the most fun time of the year. We're lucky to have Laura Massaro, Danny Massaro, James Willstrop, lots of UK and now. We build relationships with these people, and us as coaches, we learn from them as well. And at the same time, don't forget to celebrate them. And obviously social media is a thing, so it's important that we celebrate. There's so much effort going into all these performances. In the US, we have bronze tournaments, silver, gold, and JCTs. We celebrate every win at every level with the players. We have a wall of college recruits in our center that is kind of a center wall with everybody walks past every day and say like, oh, what Annabelle McTaggart did here, went to UVA. That's what I would like to do as well. So making it very, very, very visual. So in a nutshell, and that's the last slide, is question yourself, bring expertise, innovation, and an inclusive approach. It's a lifestyle. I mean, coaches, I want to be a coach. Well, for us, if you want to do it well, it's a lifestyle. It's a life project. Embrace the commitment. We say champions do more, but it's coaches who do more as well. And that's what we try to do on a daily basis.
Yeah, Kathleen, look, absolutely brilliant, from you there. And it's really interesting how you talked a lot about raising self-awareness. And I think as coaches, something that I was really passionate about when we're putting our coaching courses together for the England squash, level 3s and 4s with all the England coaches. And it was a lot about, what you talked about there, about raising the player's self-awareness. So where on the coaching scale are we when we're getting a message across? Are we telling? Are we showing? Are we asking? Are we discussing? Are we allowing players to fail? Are we allowing them to just let it unfold so they can actually feel it? And that was a really big thing that we promoted with the coaches. So it's really, really interesting that you talked a lot about that. And just how
because when they're playing their matches, they have to do it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We only have the 2 minutes in between the games. We can't solve things, right?
Yeah, and also, I think coaches often think, well, I'm getting paid the money, I need to be telling them stuff, and it's quite often the opposite. And you need to be. We used to do an exercise where you had to coach somebody for half an hour, but you weren't allowed to tell. You could demonstrate and ask questions, but you weren't allowed to tell. And that was tough for a lot of coaches for half an hour. But it becomes very powerful when you have that kind of. And it's just really interesting that you talked about that, and also how you bring the tech together. You're bringing the tech with the coaching, and using that as a really interesting tool. And you talked a lot about movement. It's great. So listen, look, any William, I'm sure you've got some questions in the chat box there.
No, unfortunately, I haven't seen anything. So it looks like our participants are very kind of silent. Now it's time to open up and raise your hands, put something on the chat, or just unmute yourself and introduce yourself very quickly and ask your question. I think it was very insightful, Kathleen, and I took some notes about of course, athlete is it's a mixing desk. Of course, I'm a big fan of music, so it's great to see that you are using different ingredients to have a great recipe. And I love the mosquito analogy. It was great. It was great because it's really kind of explain what you're trying to achieve when you take this mosquito analogy. So I think it's great example, great illustrations of what you're trying to achieve. But over to the participants.
I've got a question actually, Kathleen, for you. Just on the mixing, the gratitude, humility. How do you manage the parents in that? Is that something that you explain to the parents? Because I love the philosophy, but I'm just interested to hear your thoughts on that with the parents. How you manage that?
We have some posters hanging in the center that have like values of our players, and there's 8 values on there. The 3 of them are obviously those most important ones. We mention those values on a recurring basis in the sessions to the players. Do we really communicate that as like we have that in brochures and all of that? The gratitude and the humility. Parents always think or often think that their players are the best ones, and then they want the best lessons and so on. Do I communicate it through posters and through website and through the brochures? If I need to and they don't get it, the parents, I'll probably tell them those values as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously become like an expectation. When people come to your camps or come for training with you guys, it's probably something they just know is part of what you do. I'd imagine. If you're not
it's on our website. We try to put that in the like I said, in a summer camp brochure. You'll see these values pop up, etc., etc. It's a relatively easy sell to the parents until the moment that they're thinking that the kids should get more, etc. And sometimes American parents could be could quite demanding, and that's a market that you need to manage. And sometimes, like when I say the best train with the workers, that's probably the hardest thing to do there, to sell that message. And sometimes you lose some parents in that process if they don't buy into that philosophy. That's where I said we're not afraid to say no. I will lose some parents in that process. But then that is a consequence of kind of a concept that we really want to adhere to.
David, there is a question from Trevor regarding the different college system, university system in the US versus UK, and how this difference can be kind of mitigated, or how can UK build on this kind of expertise from the US and the US university system?
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't compete. We don't actively market and recruit like the US do, and I think it's something that the UK needs to do better. I think we need to learn from what happens in the US. And in fact, I've been having recent discussions with 1 or 2 universities about, because I do get international visiting players to come and see me, and they always look at the US as the kind of the market, I guess. But people aren't aware. I mean, the UK has actually got a really good university system, and some academic universities like Birmingham and Loughborough and Manchester, who are very academic universities and have full-time squash programs. But I think they just need to market themselves better. The British Universities Association just need to do more in that regard, because I think players are just not aware. They always think US, which is incredible system to be a part of. They've done incredibly well. The college squash, and whenever I've been to the States, they a lot of these coaches are at the camps, and they're actually actively recruiting, looking for the right people, the right characters, like Kathleen said, not just how well they hit a ball. But that's something that UK are well behind on, and they've just not done very well at that at all, really, and that does need to improve.
I see Sipke has a question.
Yeah, I have a question. Of course, you have a lot of kids, a lot of different kids, different levels. Do you have some kind of tracking app or something to keep track of the progress of all the kids, because you're not constantly doing group or private sessions? You will also teach them on solo training, give them a program, work on this, work on that perhaps. Build some sessions they can do themselves perhaps. And how do you track that, and do they do it?
Yeah, good question. We've tried in the past. There's a few layers as an answer to that, because I really think we need it. So we've tried to work in the past with a number of existing softwares. the adoption of our players, so do they do it and do they go on that app and so on, for us was a bit disappointing. So because it's in the it's a lot of like self-input. I don't know whether that's because of the market that we're in, that a lot of the sessions that the American kids are doing are like almost all coach-led. So you do a lesson, you do a clinic. There's not enough solo practice here. There's not enough solo stretching, solo fitness, etc., etc. So that was not such a success. At the moment, we're working more with manual feedback from tournaments to players in more of a Google Drive environment. But today, actually, I've got a new guy starting who is going to help us write more software like that, and hopefully get it into a way that everybody is engaged. The parents love the feedback. They expect the feedback. But the question is always, do the players then actually use it? And then you come down for me to the hour fee thing. It's like, okay, yeah, the ones who want it the most will be using it, right? And exactly. The ones, that's where the hard work beats talent, and talent like that. That's the reality there.
Yeah, so we have to hope they just do it. Thanks.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
No problem.
I don't see anything else on the chat, David. You are, because you're getting close to the end of it, so you want to.
Yes.
Kathleen, you want to say a few words to conclude and to your session? I think
sure. Yeah, thank you obviously for your attending and for listening. There's so many views on. We believe also there's so many ways to build champions and champion people. So what I presented was just one of them. There's people who will agree and disagree. But if you feel like there's any questions that you have, if you feel that at some moment in time you'd like to to be part of what we try to grow, we are always looking for people who do agree with this vision. So my email address is there, always looking to strengthen our team. But yeah, we're here to exchange ideas or to get stronger together. So thank you very much for the opportunity, to David and to William. And yeah, we're here to just strengthen squash in general.
Yeah, and I want to say on behalf of William and myself and the rest of the WSF that, you know, obviously great to have you on, Kathleen. Been really insightful. You know, I was learning things along the way, as I'm sure everybody else here was as well. So, yeah, really thankful that you're able to, you know, share some of this with us today and to give you some sort of insight, and hopefully I'll make it out to one of your camps at some point. You know, I'd really be interested in coming out and seeing you guys. So, look, yeah,
we would love that.
Yeah, and like Kathleen said, if you've got the email address there, if anybody needs to reach out to Kathleen, you've got her details. So, yeah, thanks very much. And William, I don't know if you want to.
No, just say thank you very much all. Thank you for the participants. I think it was very insightful, and it's great to see this kind of sense of community that we can bring with this kind of talk about sharing expertise, knowledge. And as you mentioned, Kathleen, we can be stronger together, and there is a great positive journey ahead of us if we can share more. And this is exactly what we want to do. Instead of working in isolation, share knowledge, expertise, because we want to grow the sport. So thank you very much for everything you do. And for all the participants, enjoy the rest of your day. Looking forward to seeing you soon. And thank you very much for your time. Thank you, David. Thank you, Kathleen. And speak soon. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.